the economic decline. Also, I imagine that the anonymous element is very strong, and people are now, the majority of people who made the tip-offs did it online. So, you know, obviously, people's increased usage of online would, you know, so they just go online, they pick out the form and they pick out, you know, whether it's to do with somebody working.
1,000 that had actually sat down and written the letter about
1,000 had written the letter.
Yeah, well, you can nearly see the age groups there sitting in, you know, that's where
I think people are saying to themselves, you know, in light of the fact that there was €3 taken off the blind person's allowance, child allowance, the children's allowance is being cut, the parents' allowance. People are saying, you know, all these allowances are being cut. We have a massive social welfare bill. Why the hell should these people get away with whatever, falsely claiming, whether it's claiming single person's allowance if they're living with someone, whether it's working and claiming the dole, whether it's living abroad and claiming benefits. People are no longer going to tolerate that when they know that there's going to be hospitals closing, you know, the education system is suffering because of cutbacks.
Yeah, but do you not think it might go actually, you know,
which is a huge amount of money, really.
And since 2009, it has actually doubled the amount of cases that have been reported now. It doesn't necessarily equate whether there's going to be a billion saved, but there's
savings account for, it's what, 460 million. It's 40 million a day is the bail-back fund to get the bankers out of trouble. You know, what we're looking for at chasing here is pennies and halfpennies in comparison to the billions that we got done by. And that's really where it's at. And I don't know, as you know, welfare gets cut again.
Mindset of minding the pennies
I don't know whether people will be as forthcoming with this as more and more people actually, if they can pick up €50 in cash for doing a job and they're on welfare, or if somebody doesn't have to pay VAT on it. As the tax rates go, I can see that coming back into vogue again.
Well, it happened in the 80s, and there wasn't definitely a tolerance from the authorities in the 80s, because the €100 or €100 that somebody was getting, £100 in those days, was actually going back into the economy because they were spending it on food and they were doing that. And there was undoubtedly in the 80s from the authorities, now they would deny it wholesale, but there was a tolerance, and I could see that coming back to some extent, because it kind of washes around the economy.
Because anyone who's had a paycheck in the last month sees what's happened. And the central bank this morning downgraded its growth performance for this year. One of the reasons is the tightness of consumer spending. People haven't a fluke, not a red cent anymore. And, you know, people are going to find ways of getting around the system. And as more and more people fall into that net, it won't be just, you know, you're giving out somebody living together with somebody and they're claiming, you know, different allowances that they shouldn't be getting.
Who's reporting these things then? If
we follow that line of argument, I think what we're actually saying is not that people are looking at the big picture and saying it's wrong. I don't think it's a moral judgment. I genuinely don't think it's a moral judgment by people saying, you know, this is wrong and I can't allow it to go on because people have less money in their wage packets or on their welfare benefits or whatever. It's a competition of self-interests. So the people that, you know, are down in their pay packet or whatever are going to look at people ripping off the system. It's in their self-interest to report that because they feel they're getting done personally.
So if I'm getting done, someone else should be done too?
Well, if I'm getting done, they're feeling the connection to their pocket more directly. Whereas the people in the system who've been paying their taxes all along, who've gone into to get welfare benefit or whatever it might be, and for some reason, there's a lot of people out there would say with the second property that can no longer afford it, can't sell it. And because of that second property, which is now a noose around their neck, can't get any benefit payments. And I know people in that situation, and it's just as difficult for them, even worse.
Self-employed people.
So you're going to have more people like that are going to lend towards the, you know, doing the nixers and taking the, and that's their self-interest. So I don't think it's a moral change or a cultural change. I think it's just a moral change as well.
I definitely think there's a moral. I think people have always, you know, and this is going back into the 80s.
It's funny how money changes morals, though.
Well, it does, but at the same time, I think people have always felt aggrieved knowing that somebody was working and claiming the dole. I mean, and I think
not enough to lift the phone, though.
Yes, but you see, that's what I'm trying to say, is that the more outlets that are there for them to tip off anonymously, maybe that's why the growth pattern is there, and they're getting this good citizen award.
There's a direct connection in people's heads between what I'm not getting and what he is getting. And so when I get my whatever my welfare is, it's down. The carers allowance, the blind, all of that, it's down, and he's still getting something he's not entitled to.
But we cannot end up blaming people who are maybe 2 years ago were employing 3 or 4 people, paying their mortgage, being good citizens, and now have nothing and trying to survive. And we cannot kind of, you know, have a row between the ones who are working and the ones who are not, because none of us caused, well, the vast majority of us didn't cause the problem. We earned you know, it's not ordinary people who ended up running up these billions.
Like, is it more morally wrong that in the good times, when people had enough money, that people were still ripping off the system, even though they weren't trying to survive?
The advertising has become very effective behind it as well. Now, when you now see the ads facing you on the television, and you know the ad is showing somebody in a balaclava, you know, and the tagline is "He's taking the money out of your pocket," you know. When people bring that to this logical conclusion, you know, that is something that's going to make you want to pick up the phone or go on the internet and complain, because it is literally, you know, now it is your money. I mean, for a while there we actually had the money. Now we don't have the money either.
No, but that was usually the insurance claims now. And again, you know, people turn on the blind eye. You didn't have to be unemployed or on the dole or anything like that to be pulling that. A lot of people made money.
Yeah. Okay, you can call us now, 1530 99 99 33. Text us MD first, followed by your comments 253131. After the break, Fianna Fáil's meltdown continues. Stay with us, see you in 3. You're right, welcome back. Now it's time to give something away.
Midday has teamed up with the Hennessy Gold Cup, which is taking place at the Leopardstown Racecourse on the 6th of February. To celebrate, we're giving you the chance to win a beautiful Philip Tracy hat from the Design Centre, partner of the Hennessy Best Dress competition. Not only that, but you'll also win VIP tickets to the Hennessy Gold Cup, including race cards, lunch in a private suite overlooking the winning straight, and a Hennessy reception on arrival, as well as overnight accommodation in the Fitzpatrick Castle Hotel before the event. This year's race marks the 21st Hennessy Gold Cup at Leopardstown and the 5th year of the successful Hennessy Best Dress Lady competition in association with the Design Centre. For your chance to win this great prize, just call 1516 999 500 or text Midday to 57199 and answer the following question. The area in which horses are paraded before a race is called what? A paddock, B a field, or C a runway? Competition terms and conditions apply. The lucky winner will be contacted next week.
And you can call us 1530 99 99 33. We'll do our best to air as many as possible, and we'll go straight to the phones now.
I'm listening to this about the money the guards are getting for shopping fraudsters. If that's not their job, are they not getting paid that in the first place? Is that not what their salary is for? Instead of saving their information to get extras on top?
With the economy the way it is, so many painters, decorators, heating people, all looking for cash payments. I think the message has to go out that business is going on. Not everybody has nothing to do, but I think these people think they'll be able to make returns for very small amounts because, you know, it'll be accepted that business has been bad, but actually there's an awful lot of them doing work and asking for cash, no VAT receipts.
Yeah, hello. Does that woman not know that the guards always had to get paid extra money to do their job? Bank duty, border duty, all extra money.
Lots of texts as well. Why do people always talk about people committing welfare fraud? It's a pity no one shocked the bankers. Our country might be in a better place now. Most people on welfare are honest, decent, law-abiding citizens struggling to rear their children and pay their bills. That's from Catherine Daly in Cork. What about the fraud of retiring politicians getting golden handshakes and huge pensions and taking up careers outside politics? Never mind social welfare fraud. That's from David in Westmeath. The woman from the Farmers Journal is right in what she says. Of my €185 a week social, the majority of it goes straight back to the exchequer with tax on cigarettes, petrol, home heating oil, food and clothing. Think about it. You're on €100 a week, you're offered a day's work cash in hand. Who's going to turn it down? I've worked and paid tax for the last 20 years, got me nowhere. If the system worked, there would be no need for the public to inform on welfare cheats. More texts when Fianna Fáil screw the country. It's no wonder people can take what they get. If you want to report someone, Leon says, be brave and report a drug dealer. Someone else has texted in, do you honestly think people inform for altruistic reasons? People are nosy, they sit as judge over neighbours. Nasty people report people that they don't like. And there is an element of that.
Can I just say on the bankers issue, like I genuinely sympathise with the people that are trying to take cash and not pay, you know, the VAT on it or whatever. I can understand the position that people are in, and looking at you know what has happened over the last number of years in bankers and the way that they've gotten. I mean, white collar crime is not treated as crime in this country. I can well understand how people feel. I mean, all bets are off when you see one section of society treated completely differently to people that are bottom of the rung.
Yeah. It is.
We wouldn't. I mean, the banking bailout is what's put us where we are. It wasn't social welfare fraud.
Exactly.
You know, tiddly bits of €50 here and there for elixirs. But I suppose at the same time,
or a bit of child minding or whatever.
Yeah.
Hold on a sec. What you're asking is, you're asking that the bankers and people in public life, the politicians, have different standards. That's what you're asking, though. You're asking that if you see something going on and you don't put your hand up and say that shouldn't be happening, and why do you expect the bankers to do it? You know, it permeates right through society.
But you see, again, it has to start from the top. We
will jail welfare frauds.
Yeah.
We will put someone to jail for not paying their TV licence who can hardly put food on the table.
That's the reality. That's exactly. It has to start from the top, and if people don't see it coming down from the top, then obviously they're going to hope that they can get away with their own.
We can transfer, certain individuals can transfer millions and hundreds of millions of assets into their wives' names.
I mean,
and they're not accountable and can't be got at.
If you default on your mortgage, the banks come down on you like a ton of bricks. However, if you owe the bank billions and you default,
it's the difference between the people that can't pay and won't pay. The people that can't pay are criminalised and end up in court and in jail. The people that won't pay end up in NAMA. I mean, it's just entirely duplicitous.
You can let us know what you think. MD first, followed by your comments. 253131. Now, Micheál Martin names his new improved Fianna Fáil front bench today, with the emphasis on youth and women, apparently. But 18 Fianna Fáil TDs have now announced they won't be running in the election, with Donegal TD Neil Blaney making a surprise exit last night when he was due to be announced as a candidate. Poll results at the weekend probably didn't give
New improved Fianna Fáil? Don't think so. It doesn't sound like younger people, and I mean, I don't know. I hope he does name Mary Hanafin as his deputy. I think that actually would be a good thing. I don't think it's going to make.
Do you think so after a display of the last few weeks?
Well, I actually do think it would be a good thing if
they need the female constituency.
Well, they do, and there is.
She's not going to get the female constituency
if she doesn't get her seat.
As Minister in Social Welfare or Social Affairs, it was called. She took the pension off of about 200 elderly farm ladies that were scattered around the country. These are women in their 70s and 80s. Refused to meet them. The women had to camp in the department to get a meeting with her. And a week after Eamon O'Keefe came into the office, they got their money, they got their pensions restored to them.
But just because she's a woman, should she be?
Well, hold on a sec. They're looking at they look at this in the broad. Okay, he wants younger people, obviously, and he wants women. Okay, that's just what he's doing. And if that's what you want, well, you've Mary Hanafin there. Stick her in as deputy leader. She would be. She'd make a good.
She's not the younger generation. And she's 50 plus. They're looking at only 30 and 40.
Well, they don't have a huge choice all that much further down the line when it comes to women. That's what they think will bring people back. I don't happen to think there's a woman's vote out there.
Mary O'Rourke summed it up there now very nicely, the Primand. And you know, I don't think Mary Hanafin is exactly your role model for a female politician.
No, I'm saying
Mary Hanafin is different as well. I mean, here's Mary Hanafin. You know, hopefully, she wants to get that position. But Mary Hanafin might even win her own seat because she's digging her heels in and John Leary right now. I mean, herself and Barry Andrews are having a ridiculous argument over, you know, whether they should both stand turf wars. You know, she's saying that she has nothing to add to if she's moved to Dublin South. Is it Dublin South?
Yeah, it is.
If she's moved there, she's nothing to add. You know, that all her good doings are going to go to John Leary Rathdown. He's saying the same thing. Now, I mean, Micheál Martin should take it in hand at this stage. I mean, it is like two squabbling school children. Which desk do you want to sit at? I'd prefer to sit at that desk. You know, he should just go in and say, sorry, you know, we've no chance of getting two seats here. One of you has to move now.
It tells you how disorganised, though, and how what an incredibly bad way they are, because that would all have been sorted out months ago in the old Fianna Fáil.
But aren't the Irish people so forgiving? I mean, they put Micheál Martin as their top choice for Taoiseach. 31% in the polls yesterday. 31%.
Does that say more about Fianna Fáil or the choice of leader from the opposition, though?
Possibly, but it also shows just the Irish people. You know, what's the use of polls? What are they telling us?
I mean, it's an incredible feat to have come away from 14 years of cabinet and to be relatively unscathed.
In terms of public opinion. 31%, to be ahead of all the other leaders, and with next to no chance of ever getting into.
We had this argument last week, though, and we were saying the first thing Micheál Martin did when he went up without being prompted, he said sorry.
Sorry, he did.
And that went a long way, because no one has said sorry, neither the bankers nor the politicians so far. And I think he played it very well. And I think when an argument last week, when it comes to times, tough times and recessionary times, and people want somebody that they can leave them out of a
Absolutely,
mess.
and he looked like he was, you know, making his mark and putting down the foot, and he got Noel O'Flynn to step down in his constituency. But then last night was just an absolute, was chaos. You know, I mean, politicians are people who, when they see light at the end of the tunnel, just keep building tunnel. Like Neil
falling on their sword, isn't that what they're saying?
Absolutely. I mean, Neil Blaney didn't even turn up last night, which was a huge slap in the face.
And the palaver to get him elected. I don't know, you remember all that, you know. There was an enormous fight in Donegal, you know, like the good old days when Fianna Fáil really fought each other. And there was a massive, and there he is, and I mean, it's for personal reasons, he said, and there he is, not running at the end of the day.
Which is again the problem with, and I know I've talked about this numerous times before, but with the single transferable vote, our method of employing the proportional representation, instead of having, you know, parties represented, you know, one person per party represented in each constituency, you know, two people from the same party going to somebody's door, they cannot differentiate themselves from another party.
Well, it's not going to be happening with Fianna Fáil this time.
So the focus is not on the national. The focus is on what I've done as opposed to the other person who's coming around.
The posters is going to be tiny. The one thing that I noticed watching news there this morning was Micheál Martin. You know, it's either very warm down in Cork or else he's got the best thermal underwear you could possibly imagine.
Because he's out in his shirt sleeves.
He's out in his shirt sleeves. Which actually shows this kind of young guy.
But it does. But actually, I mean, that's why his ratings are so good. You know, that he got the 30% or whatever he got in the most recent poll. He's a very likeable figure. But I think what people are forgetting is that there is such a thing as collective responsibility. Absolutely. He has been in the cabinet, you know, for the past 14 years or however long it's been. So, you know, he has backed up the decisions of Brian Cowan and Brian Lenihan and everybody else. So, you know, he might be likeable and he might be out there in a thermal vest and shirt sleeves. But he's also shown a very ruthless side in asking Noel O'Flynn, who was one of his strongest supporters and has been, you know, to step down in the Cork North Central constituency, because he knows that, you know, that's not a two-seat, they won't get the second seat there. But you know, to actually to be as ruthless and hard-headed as to go and ask him.
Decisions have to be made, though. I mean,
but I'm saying that's actually a good thing. I'm saying it's good that somebody is showing an element of ruthlessness. It's a pity he wasn't a bit more ruthless with Mary Hannafin and Barry Andrews, but he's showing that he can do it. But I mean, the point that I will go back to is that we just have to remember that it's, you know, not so much a new broom sweeps clean, because Micheál Martin has been there a long time.
The other thing is just
on a day when the nurses, fourth year nurses, they're talking about taking away their payments, reducing them and then taking away payments, which is an absolute crime. He was master of the foundation blocks of the HSE, which was another layer of management in on top of a system that was already there. That's what should be re-looked at, not taking money of nurses on the front line.
I think that the shine will go off Micheál Martin quite quickly once the opposition gets stuck into him, because there is loads of stuff around about where he was when things happened and all of that. And you can't say smoking ban forever. I mean, it only washes for the first 5 minutes.
But when we get the figures now, you know, whenever the election is actually called and we get the date and people then make their intentions known, we're going to get more and more people with 250 to 300,000 lump sums and pensions of 150,000 a year. They may have a right to it, but it is morally and ethically totally wrong.
Okay, you can let us know what you think. Call us 1530 99 99 33. Text us MD first, followed by your comments to 53131. After the break, being single is very expensive. Stay with us, see you in 3. You can call us now, 1530 99 99 33. We'll do our best to air as many as possible, and we'll go straight to the phones now.
I'd like to ask the panel what they mean by the ordinary people. The government have the same habit as calling the ordinary people. Second, the one about people scamming on social welfare. Would any of the panel leave on social welfare, or would any of the ministers above the door leave on social welfare? Fair play to anyone that gets a day's work, that's on the social welfare and does the day's work and gets a few bob for it.
I'm watching the present debate about people fiddling the dole, etc., etc. All this rot starts at the top. We're talking about people, the citizens of Ireland, who have been completely robbed all these years by bad politicians. And they're the people now that have to end up paying for all the incompetence.
I feel that the working class people have been screwed left, right and centre. And I would just like to see the bankers and the other people held accountable for what they do wrong, instead of concentrating on reporting the ordinary working class people who are trying to make ends meet in these very hard times.
And lots of texts as well. I'm a lone parent with 2 kids. When my relationship broke down, I was too proud to claim social welfare. I continued to work. The more I worked, the less money I ended up with. Eventually, when I did claim social welfare, I couldn't believe the amount of people claiming it who didn't actually need it. It's a joke. That's from Rachel in Swords. I'm disillusioned by politicians. We're better off with Jedward. That's from John in Longford. The Fianna Fáil got a baboon and ran him for election. The Fianna Fáil cronies would still vote for it. I don't know about that now, but you're probably right. There is a die-hard vote in every party, I suppose. Social welfare fraud along with tax dodging is wrong, but so also is the claiming of expenses for postage, mobile phones and hotels, etc. by the very people who frown on welfare and tax cheats. That's from another texter there. We're talking about the education system being cut. Why the hell is there 42 teachers employed to work in Portlaoise prison? I don't know why that is. I presume there's educational...
I have absolutely
no idea, and I don't know if there is actually 42 teachers employed. They will have to look into that a little bit more. I feel sorry for Neil Blaney. He just wants to put his wife and children first. What's the point in him working so hard and having to come home to an empty house? Good on him for thinking of his family. Maybe more men should take a leaf out of his book. So keep the text coming in, MD first, followed by your comments. 2531331. Now, married people live longer and are largely speaking happier, according to numerous studies. But now a study by the National Consumer Agency says that singletons pay more for everything too.
Everyone knows it's cheaper if you have 2 people involved in anything, but what amazed me is the car insurance for a woman living in Dublin. The average was 608. I think that's enormously high, and add a spouse and it fell to 274 per person.
Because the men can teach us how to drive properly.
Well, they can supervise you in the car while you're driving.
But your women are considered safer drivers and always got cheaper insurance. If that was a man, I presume on his own it would be even more. So I presume, I always thought women were kind of cheaper to insure because we crash into things less and we don't get upset about it. There's no road rage and we don't drive fast and we're generally better. Okay?
You could kind of understand the breakdown assistance, you know, because my husband bails me out several times a year, you know, but I quite agree with you. I couldn't believe it when I saw that.
Outrageous.
That it was so much cheaper when you add a spouse in there. Now, it's actually when you add a male spouse. When it's she added a male spouse. Be interesting to see what the figures are.
But even if you lied, it's 274 per person for 2 people, which is actually just less. Well, a tiny bit more, maybe slightly less. And you just lie on the thing and put in somebody.
But you can't, then it's not, you can't be lying, then it won't be valid, surely. Well, the thing is, what I find going on holidays, if you were the gang, and you have your single room, there's a single supplement on the room, so it ends up costing you a fortune, way more than anyone coupled up. If you go to a hotel room and you're in a single room, it's usually the same price as a double, with very little in the difference.
It doesn't sound fair, but at the same time, I mean, to the hotel or the service provider, whatever it is, a room is a room. So if they have to go in the following day,
smaller room, and
I know, but they still have to change the beds, the sheets, the towels. So it's all the laundry, it's the, you know, the fuel. It's the
very few places
it's the lighting, it's the bills. You can understand why there's a single. I mean, it doesn't seem fair, but you can still see why there is a single income supplement. But I mean, I only actually married Matt so that I get cheaper breakdown assistance. Someone to share those ESB bills. But, see, and as they're saying here, you know, I mean, it's okay. So you get the benefits maybe of cheaper insurance and someone to share the bills with, someone to share the food bills and others. But you know, you still have to pick their clothes off the floor. Yeah, dirty socks stuck to the ceiling.
There's loads of drawbacks to it, not just
somebody hogging the remote controls, dirty socks.